Yo, what's up, Broncos country? This is Eddie with Colorado Sports Connection, and I'm joined with my co-host tonight, Mohamed, again. Tonight, we're going to talk about the Drew Sanders injury, OTAs, Lucas Kroll, maybe, talk about Cortland Sutton, him not being at OTAs and all this, and the quarterback battle that's going on here in, OTAs. What's going on, man? Nice to see you. Thanks for joining in. So, Mohamed, I wanted to get your opinion on what you think. Who is going to replace, or where do you honestly think they were going to put Drew Sanders, inside or outside? Who do you think is going to replace him?
It was actually a big blow when I heard that. To be honest with you, and I guess it happened like a month ago or so. Um, I'm thinking maybe they were thinking to put him on the outside, and if that's the case, I guess we can use the rookie John Ellis, um, Browning, Cooper. I guess they can all do that. I'm just guessing Singleton and Barton will be like inside linebackers. So in that case, I'm thinking he would have been like put on the outside. You can just go in house. We can look at some, I guess, some free agents also. I got two. Um, Quan Alexander, that's one. Or Marcus Golden. I heard that he's to play with Vance Joseph. So that's what I'm thinking. What are you thinking?
Well, knowing how last year went with Drew Sanders, like we know that he was drafted as an inside guy. We thought,
Mhm.
okay, he's going to be an inside linebacker. He's going to be the guy we're going to try to develop into that coverage guy to cover tight ends over the middle. Well, as we saw last year, he played better on the edge. Like there's no doubt
Yeah.
about it. Like I mean, he played over the middle a couple of times, but he was more explosive, and I think he's more of a fit on the outside, just like you said.
Mhm.
Personally, that's what I think too. Um, but it's like now you get that room full. I'm pretty sure Ronnie Perkins is, they brought him back, after the season was over on, to kind of compete. I think Incoom's still out there too. He's with us. And like you said, you drafted that young kid Ellis. You got Baron Browning. You got Nick Benito. You got Jonathan Cooper. You got like that pass rushing room, if you ask me, is full. Like
Yes.
I don't know what they're gonna do. Like I
Mhm.
still think Peyton's trying to push him into that middle because, like, if you look at the middle linebacker position, who do we got? Singleton, Barton, and Griffith. Like he's coming back this year. He got injured last year, and
Mhm.
he's supposed to be coming back this year. So we're kind of thin at the middle linebacker position, in my opinion. Like I don't know, man. I think he's gonna play edge, but it's like if you do, where are you gonna put him? Like you already
Mhm.
got four people.
Exactly.
You got Cooper and Browning who are going to be your starters. Nick Benito, I think he's a good rotational piece. And you spend a third round pick on Ellis. It's like, where are you going to put Drew
Yep.
Sanders? But as we know, he tore his Achilles, I think, like right before the draft, I believe it was. And the
Mhm.
news didn't come out until like about a week and a half ago. So, and they said that, his injury takes up to like 6 months to, heal, maybe 9. So he could either come back in October, they said, or he might miss the entire season. We don't know.
Yeah.
But honestly, the I think inside linebacker is more of a position in need at this point than outside. But as like I said, and you've seen it too, and I'm sure of all of Broncos country has seen it,
Mhm.
he plays better on the edge. It's
Yeah.
just, you can't take live reps away from Baron Browning. You can't take them away from
Mhm.
Cooper, Ellis, Nick Benito. You know, I don't see how he's gonna fit in that, part of the defense. He'd be better at inside. I mean, he's better on the outside, but he fit better.
Mhm.
We need the depth there at inside. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's crazy to me. Like I'm surprised they waited over a month to even tell us about it. Like, I mean, it happened like right before the draft, and now we just find out about it like a month later. Uh, anyway, but yeah, Drew Sanders tore his Achilles. I think, honestly, he's going to play it inside. Like, I think he's going to be that rotational piece.
Mhm.
I like him better on the outside, but I think he's going to play on the inside because Alex Singleton, we know after this year is probably going to be gone. They need some young, players at that position. They need some depth at that position. So, with all that said, let's get into OTAs. Um, So OTAs was this past week, and you know, of course, Bo Nix out there balling. You know, Sean Payton said he was picking up the offense great. You know, all
Mhm.
this stuff. Troy Franklin was out there balling too. What were your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, basically same. Heard some really good things about Troy Franklin. Kind of really hard to watch videos and stuff. You know, you just see a little bit of stuff out there. Um, Troy Franklin was very impressive. I heard Tim Patrick was kind of coming back too. Like he's not showing any regret. Look, so it's good as far as like the wide receivers. Um, so yeah, I mean, Bo Nix, just the way he's standing, the way he's holding the ball, I've been very impressed. To be honest with you, that was just like a good feeling about the whole thing. What did you think?
I liked it. Like I said, you said yourself. I mean, that was one person I forgot to mention was Tim Patrick. I'm
Hmm.
still holding out hope that he can come back and still be that player he was in 2021. But I just hope he doesn't tear something else that's coming up
Oh
training
my
camp.
God! Yes,
And
yes.
that was so bad because the training camp where he went down last year, I was at that training
Oh,
camp. We left probably about 30 minutes early because the kids were getting fussy. And as I pull out of the parking lot of the training facility, that's when I got the update. Patrick out for the season with a torn Achilles. I was like, ah, it
yeah.
drove me up a wall. But no, Bo Nix, yeah, he's been balling. I mean, of course, a lot of people talk, rookie quarterbacks or I'm sorry, but quarterbacks in college, they spend more time, especially Bo Nix. He spent more time in the shotgun. Like they're working with him, to take reps under center to start getting used to going under center. Because in the NFL, you're not going to be in shotgun all the time like you would be in college. You're going to be under center probably, I'd say 50% of the time. You
Yeah.
know, especially for a young rookie quarterback in Sean Payton's system, like you want the threat of the run so you can open up the play action downfield. Um, and I just think, Troy Franklin out there balling, I think that's just that chemistry between him and Bo Nix. That's the reason why he's looking so good. Same for Bo Nix. That chemistry with Franklin, they're looking so good, you know. And that's the other thing. Like, what are they going to do with this wide receiver room this year, Mohamed? Like, I mean, seriously, you got Cortland Sutton, you got Reynolds that you brought in from, I think it was Detroit. You got Tim Patrick, you got Marvin Mims, you got uh, Troy Franklin, and you brought back Lil Jordan Humphreys. You still got Brandon Johnson, you know, uh, Virgil, you got him. I mean, you got a lot of depth at that receiver room.
Packed.
You got top receivers. I mean,
Hmm.
if the season were to start today, who would you think? I think Sean Payton's going to carry 6 wide receivers this year. Who do you think would be those top 6?
Um, I mean, I think Troy Franklin is gonna make the cut, especially if you're starting Bo Nix, which I think it might happen. It's very high likely.
Yeah.
Tim Patrick, Cortland, is he gonna come back? I'm not sure. Um, Tim Patrick.
Tim Patrick,
Yeah, I said Tim,
Cortland, Troy,
Cortland.
Marvin.
Yeah, Lou Humphrey, maybe he'll make it.
You also got
And
Reynolds, who they brought in.
yeah, I honestly don't know, Eddie. Like it's a good problem to have, like you said. Yeah. See, Brandon Johnson, that's another
Yeah.
one.
Yep.
It's
That
like yeah, I guess we'll know more as we progress, as we get into like the preseason stuff. You know,
yeah.
but
I just
I'm
Oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say like I'm high on Troy Franklin. I think he's gonna be a starter. You know.
I agree. Like he's Bo Nix's favorite target. He was his favorite target in college.
Mhm.
They didn't make that draft pick because like, oh, we need another wide receiver. They made that pick for Bo Nix. Like
Exactly,
that's
exactly.
exactly why they made that pick.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that they just took Troy Franklin. They traded up in the 4th round to get him. So I agree, he's gonna make the roster.
Yeah.
He's Bo Nix's buddy. He's Bo Nix's like I guarantee you by the end of the year, regardless if Cortland Sutton signs or not, or he comes out and plays, I have a feeling Troy Franklin, if he gets enough reps, if Sean Payton thinks if he does well in preseason training camp and all that, and as Bo Nix's top target, I could see him be the leading receiver on this team this year. I know that's
I would
hard.
not be
A
surprised.
lot of people don't think that, but
Mhm.
Bo Nix is going to be looking for him constantly.
Yeah.
It might even be I hate to say it, maybe even a detriment. He's going to look at him so much because that's his favorite target. But like, if I had to choose today that who the Broncos' 6 wide receivers are, like I said, I think they're going to carry 6 this year. You can never have enough wide receivers in this day and age in the NFL.
Mhm.
I think Sutton, Reynolds, Tim Patrick, Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin, and probably little Jordan Humphrey. Because,
Mhm.
he already knows Peyton's system. He played with him in New Orleans. And there's a reason why they brought him back. Like, I like Brandon Johnson personally. There was a couple of plays that he made in preseason and the regular season last year.
Mhm.
That was like, dang, that was a good catch. But if I had to pick right now, I would say Cortland Sutton, Josh Reynolds, Tim Patrick, Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin, and Lil Jordan Humphrey. Like, I just should we sign Michael Thomas on the cheap? I mean, you can. I mean, Mohamed, you could sign Michael Thomas on the cheap, but like seriously, what are you going to do with him? You
You're
already
just
got.
being greedy.
You already
Being
like.
greedy.
I would take some of that money and I would go
Mhm.
spend it, somewhere else where you need.
Yeah.
Like maybe, center. I mean, you can't really probably find the center. I mean, they got so many on the depth chart now. Going to do a competition with that, but just even like maybe I'm trying to think defensive line still more depth there. I mean, you don't need edge rushers. We just kind of talked about that. Maybe
Mhm.
inside linebacker, you might need another one if Drew Sanders is going to be on the outside, not the inside. Maybe another corner and maybe a safety. But I'm just like, I don't think Michael like. I mean, it'd be cool to have Michael Thomas reconnect with Sean Payton, but I just don't see where you're going to fit him into the depth chart. You
Yep.
know, so I mean, but who's the one receiver that you're looking forward to seeing this year? Personally, for me, I know a lot of people say Troy Franklin. I want to see what Marvin Mims does this year. Like we watched him in the first couple of games last year. The kid looked great, and then it's like they went away from him for some reason.
Mhm.
Like I don't
Yeah.
understand why. Like who's your top receiver you're looking to see this year?
I mean, I sort of agree with you on that one. Mims is very impressive with his speed and stuff. Like you said, we didn't really see a lot of him last year. Maybe on the return game, but they played him a little bit. I don't know what Sean was thinking. But I honestly want to see if Tim Patrick could actually play a whole season. Knock on woods. I mean, seriously, like I think he's really good. I just the injury bug keeps getting him, and it's not fair if he gets injured again this season. I think they probably cut him. Like, what are you gonna do?
True. Maybe that's why they brought in Josh Reynolds,
Mm-hmm.
because he's just like Sutton. He's just like Tim Patrick. He's a guy that can catch the ball. If you throw it at him, he's
Exactly.
gonna, you know. And I mean, they did the whole Josh Reynolds thing. Like they signed him before this whole Cortland Sutton thing popped up. I mean, maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's the Tim Patrick replacement because if Tim Patrick's not ready to go by the start of the season,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he's healthy, but they don't think, oh, okay, he's not returned to form. He's not the same player he once was. Maybe they might cut Tim Patrick before the start of the season, because I doubt they're going to get
Mhm.
anything for him if they try to trade him. With two back-to-back season-ending injuries, I doubt anybody's going to give up anything. You'd be better off just cutting him, and he'd be able to go somewhere where he wants. Um, but going through OTAs, there's actually I think a lot of battles going on. Like you got the quarterback battle, you got receiver battle. Honestly, you got a tight end battle. I'm trying to think edge rushing battle. I mean, there's a lot of running back battle. Like there's a lot. Honestly, I think more of them are probably on the offense, like running back, receiver, quarterback, tight end. You
Mhm.
got, of course, like I said, pass rushing. Maybe even corner. Like I mean, you can even go that far. You know, on the offense, like, you got estimate. I saw him in a couple of clips. He looked good. Like he was bulldozing. Like he looks like he's just going to bulldoze through people and everything. Like, and that's another one that I think they drafted because they don't know if Javante is going to be back to his former self or even be ready to go. Like, I mean, he played all season, but
Mhm.
like we talked about last week, he just 4.4 yards a carry. He wasn't really doing what he was before his injury. Like, what's one of the OTA battles you're looking for, or one of the OTA battles that you were like you watching? You're like, wow, that was cool. What was the one that most impressed you out of all those?
Um, I think maybe the quarterback battle for me. Um, I mean, I kind of know that it's going to eventually be Bo Nix, but kind of looking like Stidham is kind of leading the group, which kind of makes sense because he's been in the system. Um, but yeah, I think Bo Nix is going to catch up. Zach Wilson, they're probably around the same.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. My personal favorite OTA battle, kind of, I guess you'd say it was a battle, was the pass rushing one because I honestly think, even watching Jonah Ellis in OTAs and rookie minicamp, the kid was out there. I mean, he was just, I mean, he's fast. He can get off, tackles. Like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Ellis is a starter week one, not Cooper. I mean, I think Baron Browning's going to be, he's the main, he's the number one pass rusher on our team
Mhm.
until proven otherwise. But I think Ellis he's going to wind up taking Cooper's job, and he's going to be opposite Baron Browning. That's what I'm looking forward to. Like, I know ever since Von Miller got shipped off, Bradley Chubb, we haven't really had that pass rusher to really get after the quarterback, man. That's the one thing that's really going to help this team and the offense. Just like last year we saw, whenever this defense gets after the quarterback, they create turnovers, give short fields to this offense, they can put up points. Now that was with Russell Wilson, but that I'm not, with that said, doing that for a rookie quarterback is going to be good too. Giving him a bunch of short fields to work with instead of him having to go to the length of the field. So that's why I'm looking forward to is the pass rushing battle. And I really hope Jonah Ellis takes over Cooper's job. I like Cooper, but I hope Jonah Ellis takes that because the kid's a beast. Outside of that, the other battle I was really looking forward to, not saying I want him to lose his job because I love Javante, is Estime. Because I feel like teams are not going to want to tackle him. And Sean Payton said this a few years ago. You want to play, you want to be able to run the ball and you want to play good November and December football. If you got a freaking bowling ball at running back that no one wants to tackle in November and December when it's cold outside, that's the guy I want back behind that line. Now, if you can get two of them, Javante and Estime, if Javante can go back to his former self, there's going to be no stopping this team running the ball. Like, they're going to be stacking the box with 8, 9 guys to try to stop this run game. And that's just going to open up the pass downfield for Bo Nix. But with that said, I wanted to slide this topic in tonight. Courtland Sutton. What do you think about this? Like, do you think he's going to sign? Do you not think he's going to sign? Like, I personally hope he signs. Like, I think another weapon in the arsenal for Bo Nix, and I think he will. I honestly do. Like, if you give him a couple million guaranteed, he'll come back. So, what do you think?
I love Sutton, and I think Bo Nix would benefit greatly if he actually signs. Um, I don't know what the Broncos going to do. To be honest with you, like Eddie, it's like you said, we have a lot of wide receivers. They might say, well, okay, you could walk, or you could get traded, or I don't know. But if it's not something that they're gonna cost us a lot of money, why not just go ahead and sign him? He's gonna definitely help Bo Nix. I hope he comes back. We seen what he did last year with Russell Wilson. I mean, catching all these balls and in the red zone. Yeah, so I could see him doing that with Bo Nix. So I hope so. I hope he comes back. I'm actually surprised not back yet, but let's see.
Well, this is the thing. I think he's still under contract. I'm pretty sure he could sit out OTAs and everything, but once mandatory minicamp starts, if he doesn't show up, I think he starts getting fined. Like, he's still under. He's just holding out now because he wants more guaranteed money. That's what it is. Like, he's going to be on the team. I mean, they could trade him, but if he doesn't show up to mandatory minicamp, training camp, he will start getting fined. So he will come back even if the Broncos don't give him any more guaranteed money. But I think that just puts a big, next year he's just gonna be like, no, trade me, get me out of here. Like, if you guys ain't gonna, give me the money I want, then trade me and let me go somewhere else to get paid.
Yeah.
So that's what I think is going to happen. I think the Broncos will, in good conscience, like, just give him a couple million.
Exactly. We want him to be happy. Yeah, make him happy. So
make him happy so that way he can go out there and he can help your future quarterback grow and develop perfectly. And I'm sorry, but a couple million for me, to bring Cortland Sutton back and make him happy, to help the development of your young guy, to help your future, I think it's worth a couple of million. They need to do it.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I believe they will. I don't think Sean Payton's going to be sitting there like, oh, well, just like Cortland Sutton walk. We don't need him because, like we talked about earlier, bringing in Michael Thomas. Like, I like Michael Thomas, but he's not really that true number one. I think Cortland Sutton last year, this doesn't get talked about a lot. I think Cortland Sutton became that number one guy last year, in my opinion. Like, he was the dude in Denver.
He was.
Like, so I don't think Michael Thomas is that. He's older. I'm not saying he couldn't, help Bo Nix. I'm not saying he's not going to be good. He could be. I mean, he's probably still good. He probably could help Bo Nix, but you want that bona fide number one receiver. That's really going to help the development of Bo Nix. And also, you have to bring back Sutton. Like, what happens if, God forbid, knock on wood, like you said, Tim Patrick gets hurt again, or he's not ready for the season? Then you're down to, you ain't got Sutton because, you ain't giving them the money. Patrick's not ready. You got Reynolds, Mims, Franklin, Lil Jordan Humphrey, and then who? You got 4 receivers. Mm-hmm. Maybe then at that point they bring in Michael Thomas, but you ain't got the number one receiver. Like, I believe they will give Sutton the money they want, or he wants, but just do it now. Just get it done and over with, so that way we can focus. He could be at OTAs, he could be at mandatory minicamp, and help the development of Bo Nix and get that timing down. The only thing it's doing right now, not giving him that money and Cortland Sutton being out, is hurting him, and it's hurting the development of Bo Nix, in my opinion. Just getting done and getting here to Denver and let him, I mean, and if give him a couple million guaranteed, that way, next year if you're like, okay, Sutton, we don't really, like, even if he balls out, like if you want to use him as a trade asset next year and get more picks, just trade him off, but just give him this year with Bo Nix. That way to help Bo Nix's, development. So what do you think about that? Do you think the Broncos will pay him, or do you think that, like I said, he's going to get fined if he doesn't show up, but eventually, but Sutton, I don't want this to be a bad thing between Broncos and Sutton. I want it to be a good thing. I want him to be happy. With all that said, now, this next thing, like we talked about the battles, we talked about everything. Quarterback battle. Now, a lot of stuff coming out of OTAs for the Broncos. Bo Nix, like the couple things I heard the first couple of days was Bo Nix was behind his receivers. He looked good, but he was behind his receivers. Zach Wilson threw a pick, and Jared Stidham pretty much, per Benjamin Albright, that he won the day one. Well, yeah, of course. He's been in the system for a year. He knows the playbook, of course, and he's got timing with these receivers. So, but what were your takes on the quarterback battle?
I mean, it went as I expected. Stidham is probably going to be the QB1 right now, anyway, because of the timing, because of the experience he has with the team, with the playbook and all that. But they will catch up with him. And like I said, I'm not really impressed with Stidham. I would actually love it if Zach Wilson becomes the backup and bye-bye Stidham. That's the hope for me at least. But I'm not really surprised. I mean, that's what we all expected for now. But I do believe that as we go on, as we continue going towards the preseason, you can start seeing, Zach Wilson and Bo Nix kind of catching up to him and kind of learning, that gap is just going to get smaller as we go on. So it's just eventually going to happen. That's what I think.
Well, based on the reports I heard, like I think they did practice on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I think even Thursday was the last day of OTAs, if I remember right. Maybe it was Friday. I can't remember. But they said Bo Nix was starting to look better. Like I said, under center, taking snaps under center, throwing the ball from under center, doing play action and everything, which is good because, like I said, 90% of his, snaps in college were in the shotgun. He's got to learn to take snaps under center and play from under center, especially with the play action. Like I said, Stidham, of course, he was doing well because he's been in the system for a year. But based on what I've heard and what I've seen on Twitter, YouTube, all this stuff, is that Zach Wilson looks horrible. The last like
Really?
3 days,
Okay.
he looked terrible. He looked just as bad as he did in New York. Like his fundamentals weren't that great. He was just like I think they were doing like a 7-on-7 drill, if I remember correctly. If I remember what I was listening to, they were doing 7-on-7 drills where it was like okay for him to throw a pick. Like it's just basic fundamentals. Just look, see what you got, and throw the ball. And if you throw a pick, it's okay. That's what we're here for. That's what the learning experience is for. Instead of doing anything like that, he was seeing ghost again. He dropped back, looked at his first read, and he just bailed out of the pocket. And I'm pretty sure he ran to a sack based on what the report was. So he's pretty much he's worse. He's playing just as bad as he was in New York. Now, I personally was thinking, Bo Nix, I agree with you, Mohamed. He's going to be the starter come week 1. There's no doubt in my mind. As the offseason progresses, training camp, preseason, mandatory minicamp, as all that stuff progresses, Bo Nix is going to, he's already got a handle on the playbook based off what Sean Payton has said. He's handling it really well. So by the start of the season, he will be the starter, grasp everything. But I was thinking Zach Wilson was going to be the backup. I'm really strongly considering I don't think he's going to be. I think they're going to cut Zach Wilson before the start of the season. And because if Sean Payton can't fix him, nobody freaking can. And if he's still doing the same stuff he was doing in New York, I don't see how they keep him as a backup. I still think they keep Stidham. So with that information, what do you think?
I mean, I'm hoping that maybe he'll get better. Maybe that's me just being biased because I don't care for for Stidham, but maybe he'll get better. But like you said, man, I mean, this is your chance. If you want to be like on another team, halfway through the season, they need a starter or something. This is your chance to do it. But if not, you're gone. Pretty much, nobody like they're gonna be like, "Oh, Sean Payton couldn't do anything for you, so what can we do for you?" Like, just that's his chance. So I don't understand. To be honest with you, like I don't know, maybe he'll get better, but we'll see.
No, I agree. Like this is Zach Wilson's last chance. Like if you can't get better under Sean Payton, I doubt anybody's going to take a flyer on you after this season. I really don't think it's going to happen. If you can't get better under Sean Payton, there's no way no one's going to be like, oh yeah, I can fix him. One of the greatest offensive-minded head coaches in the game couldn't even fix him. So what makes you think you can? Unless maybe Andy Reid's like, hey, we'll sign him as a backup. God forbid, I hope that don't happen. He turns out to be good. But I was more of I hope he does do good. Sean Payton kind of resurrects his career to where maybe, halfway through the season, like we talked last week, a team mid-season loses the quarterback to a bad injury or something, and they come knocking like, hey, Broncos, we'll give you a 4th-round pick for Zach Wilson, and, you pass on Zach, you give Zach Wilson to him, and you get a 4th-round pick. You get an extra pick back. That's the only reason why I wanted Zach Wilson mainly to be the backup was because we could get a future asset for him if Sean Payton could fix him. Granted, it's just OTAs. Maybe he does get better, but a lot of the reports I'm seeing are saying he's not learning. He's still doing the same stuff he was in New York. He's seeing ghosts. Like I said, 7-on-7s, man. You don't bail out. It's all scripted. You're supposed to just, look at the stuff. I mean, you ain't really got a pass rush at you. You got a couple guys coming in. They're not going to hit you. He's just like first read, boom, bails out of the pocket, kind of like Russ did last year. And maybe Sean could get something out of him, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And that was my hope. Keep him as a backup so you can get a future, pick out of him. That was the only reason why I wanted Zach Wilson at the backup role. But as of right now, if I was choosing, if Bo Nix, God forbid, knock on wood, he were to go down with an injury this season, I trust Stidham at this point more than I would trust Zach Wilson. What say you?
Same. I hate to say it, but yeah. Maybe he's like traumatized or something. I don't know. It's kind of crazy to hear that. I mean, I did hear about him like throwing a pick and all that, but I didn't know he was struggling like this. And that's the thing. Like, I wish we could see more. Like, really can't see much. Just highlights and stuff.
Oh yeah, well, that's the thing, man. I'm telling you right now, whenever training camp starts, I'm going to be out there every day I can Because if Zach Wilson's still here by the end of July, beginning of
Mm-hmm.
August, I'm going to training camp like I did last year. I went to training camp last year, and granted, there wasn't a quarterback battle, but I went out there to watch Russ. I mean, I was only
Mm-hmm.
there one day, but I went out there and watched Russ, and he looked good. You know, he looked better than the previous year. But and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Like if someone's bad, I'm gonna say, hey, they're looking bad. I don't care. Even if it was Bo Nix, I'd be like, dude, he doesn't look good. I'm not saying he does.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not saying he's bad, but you know,
Just
that's
gonna
just
call it like it is. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like, and like I said, I really truly want Zach Wilson to take that next step. Like I said, not because I think he's a future or anything, but like I said, I just want to get a future pick for him. Granted, we're going to have all of our picks back next year, and we're going to have 100 million plus in cap space. Like an extra pick would do wonders for us, I believe. You know, George Payton working the draft, giving him all the ammunition in the world. You know, that'd be perfect. You know, help this team next offseason. But with that said, uh, I believe now at this point, I don't think if Zach Wilson doesn't get any better, I don't think it's going to be him. I think Jared Stidham's going to be on the roster come week one. He's going to be the backup. And I don't hate to say it because I really have no ties with the guy, but Zach Wilson's going to be gone. I don't see how he's going to get any better. But as far as, the starter, Bo Nix is going to win this thing 110%. He's going to go out. Like, I mean, it's what? It was OTAs. Like, he's literally been a Bronco for like just a little over a month. And he's out there looking sharp. Like the last couple of days of OTAs, I'm pretty sure I saw an article that says he's tied with Stidham right now. Stidham's been in the system for a year. Bo Nix has been in the system for a month, and he's already tied with him. By the time the season starts, man, Bo Nix is going to be leaps and bounds better than Stidham, I believe. What do you think?
But see, yeah, same, Eddie. I mean, even if by the beginning of the season Stidham is a little better, I mean, honestly, don't see any reason why you wouldn't play Bo Nix. Let him learn. You know, doesn't have to win any games in the beginning. I mean, just he's ready. I think he's ready. He's got enough experience. He's not like a really young rookie quarterback that doesn't have a lot of experience. He does, and we know he's going to be our starter. I mean, we picked him at 12, right? We got Troy Franklin. What are we waiting for? Like, I don't see any reason why Stidham should start week one. That's my opinion.
Well, me and you think the same, and apparently we think the same as Peyton Manning and I believe Sean Payton, because I don't believe Sean Payton makes that pick at 12. And honestly, Peyton is a straightforward guy. If someone's doing something wrong, he's going to he might not say it outwardly, straightforward, but he's going to, give you signals to say, hey, like I'm doing everything I can. He did it last year with Russell Wilson. Like, he's like, hey, I'm doing pretty much everything. He gave out signals like, hey, I'm doing everything I can. We just can't do anything with this guy. He can't go above him. He can't go above this.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I know a lot of people are overlooking this fact, but man, like if you watch him at the podium in any press conference when they're asking him about Bo Nix, you could tell he's holding back all the excitement he has and what he really wants to say. Because, he's the coach. He's not going to sit and say, oh, Bo Nix is the greatest, ever. We got our quarterback. He's going to start week one, all this and that and the other. He's not going to do that. It does the team no good to announce Bo. Exactly. And it doesn't do them any good. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I would like the fact if they kept this whole competition thing going all the way up to that first week, right before week one. Keep the Seahawks guessing, like, oh my God, do we have to prepare for Jared Stidham or do we have to prepare for Bo Nix?
Yeah.
Like, I would keep it going as long as possible. You give yourself that advantage, you give yourself that edge, and the Seahawks are like, okay, who are we playing week one? Are we playing Nix? Are we playing a rookie? Or are we playing a guy that's been in the system for a year? Like, I personally think they should wait until like that week right before week one and then announce the starter. That way it gives you all that competitive advantage. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't start Bo Nix. It doesn't make any sense. Like you said, 12th overall pick, they got a weapon that was his favorite target in Oregon. Like, it makes no sense. Like, unless Bo Nix comes out in preseason or training camp and falls completely on his face, mm-hmm. there's no reason the kid shouldn't be starting week one. Like I said, I mean, I don't know if you've seen it, Mohamed, but if you watch Sean Payton at any press conference when asked about Bo Nix, you could tell he's like, Okay, keep it in, keep it in, keep it in, keep it in. I don't want to show our hand. Yes, he's doing good. He's getting down the playbook. He's able to do his checks, blah, blah, blah. He's not coming out gushing over it. And same for Peyton Manning. Even Peyton Manning came out. I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Peyton Manning, they interviewed him, I think, last week, and he was pretty much like, no, they need to start Bo Nix week one. What do you think of Peyton Manning's comments?
I was very impressed, to be honest with you. Like when he said that, I wasn't surprised. But going back to Sean Payton, Eddie, he's a completely different coach now. Like the press conferences, when I listen to him, he's way more relaxed. You could tell that he's like, I finally got the quarterback that I want. This is my
You talk about
team.
from last year, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I got the pieces that I need. This is my team. It's getting shaped up as I want. So, like I said, it's different, because he was like snappy and he wasn't like, you could tell that he was not
Yeah.
happy with everything. So, hey, it's good. And, Peyton Manning, he knows. I mean, if somebody would know about quarterbacks, I guess we should trust him, right? So,
Yeah, no, I agree. Like Peyton Manning was I wouldn't say gushing, but I mean that's a big, thing for a Peyton Manning to give someone credit like that. Like, oh, Bo Nix needs to be the starter week one. Like, even whenever we drafted Drew Lock, I hate to bring up, old quarterbacks because people don't like him, but even when we drafted him and we were, Broncos country was like, oh, we might have our future QB. Like you heard about rumors about Peyton talking to Locke and helping him out and all this, but you never heard Peyton once say, "Oh yeah, he should be the starter week one." You never heard that, or even that he should have been the starter at all. Let's see. It's pretty crazy to me how he kept saying last question last season. Not sure if he does it that now. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, what was the game? I think it was after the Miami game, the 70-point loss.
next
Oh
question.
my God. Dude, I was watching it with my wife. I was watching the press conference. My wife's like, you could tell he is mad, even though you could see it, but like the vein on his head was getting ready to pop out because he was so mad. Not just at Russell Wilson. I think it was just a loss in general. But I agree with you, Mohamed. It's just like he looks more relaxed. He's not out there saying, oh, Bo Nix, stop kissing babies, or Jared Sims, stop kissing babies,
Yeah.
He's not trash talking like he was last year, which I think last year, all that stuff was trying to hype this team up and get them ready. Now, the Jets thing, him saying, oh, that was the worst head coaching job, even though he was correct in saying that, him saying that, though, kind of backfired on him bad last year whenever they lost to the Jets at home. But it was like, yeah, I agree with you. He looks more comfortable. Like I said, you could tell he's holding back.
Mhm.
Just like last year when he was so freaking mad about, Russell Wilson, that bad loss against the Dolphins. You could tell he's like, last question. He could tell he was mad, but he wouldn't be like, and just going nuts. This year, it's the same thing, only on the flip side, the opposite end of the
Mhm.
spectrum. You could tell he's excited. He's giddy. He's all geeked out because he knows that he found a gem in Bo Nix. He wants to say it, but he's got to hold it back because he can't be like, yay, we find our quarterback. We're going to go to the Super Bowl. We're going to make the playoffs. We're going to destroy the
Exactly.
Chiefs, whatever, So I'm excited, like getting that kind of, information or getting that kind of stuff from Sean Payton and Peyton Manning. To me, that just signifies that Broncos country should be excited, ecstatic, and honestly, I think this season's going to be a lot better than most people entail. Like originally, I was like, nah, we're probably going to be bad this year. Like my initial thoughts at the start of the offseason, I was like, we're going to be bad this year because of the Russell Wilson thing, the contract. Even like I was like, yeah, we're going to probably draft Bo Nix, but I'm like, he's going to need time to grow in Sean Payton's offense. We're going to be taking all this dead cap money. We're probably not going to be very good this year. It's going to be a learning curve for a bunch of young guys. I mean, people are still saying that, but honestly, I think this is a sleeper team this year. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Broncos fan. Just based off Sean Payton's, reactions and the way he's talking, Peyton
Mhm.
Manning, the roster moves they have made, I seriously wouldn't doubt if this team makes the playoffs. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Eddie, like I think the running game is going to be much improved with Estime and Williams. The pass rush, I think, is going to be a little better. That D line with the stuff we moved, the moves we made and stuff, I think is going to be a lot better. So these are like the two areas that I'm thinking I'm going to see improvements on. I'm not going to be surprised I wouldn't be surprised if we do make the playoffs. You know.
No, I get it. Trust me, man. Like, and just every single time I watch Sean Payton now talk about Bo Nix and just the team in general, like I get goosebumps. Like, like right after the draft, even after we drafted Bo Nix, I mean, you could have came on this channel and watched, the live draft coverage we had. I was excited, but I was like, you know what? Let's take a step. Let's just wait. We don't know if Bo Nix is going to start week one. We don't know, what's going to happen. But over this last month, especially these last couple of weeks, man, I just been just watching Sean Payton, just watching. Oh, now I understand it's just practice, it's just OTAs, it was just rookie minicamp, but just hearing these people gush over Bo Nix and just even national media members, I hear like everything I watch says Bo Nix is the one quarterback that went to the best position possible. Like out of Caleb Williams, all the quarterbacks that were taken this year, they say Bo Nix went to the best situation with Sean Payton. He fits Sean Payton's system perfectly. And I've actually heard some people say even Caleb Williams should sit for a year, learn. Same with Drake May, JJ McCarthy. Of course, Michael Penix is probably going to also because they're going to play Kirk Cousins. But I've heard some people say Bo Nix is the only one that should be starting week one out of all these rookies. And whenever and that's not just people from Broncos camp, that's national media people talking. I mean, I usually don't care what national media says, but whenever you see all the stuff going on in the Broncos camp, you hear national media people talk about this, it just gives me goosebumps for days, man. I'm excited. I cannot wait for the season to start. Last thing I want to get into here before we get out of here tonight, Mohamed, we're at 42 minutes right now, is the big thing that came out this week in OTAs, since Greg Dulcich has been out, he's still suffering, the injury that he suffered last year. He's been trying to rehab. They don't know if he's going to be ready for the start of the season, but we've seen this guy play a few snaps last year, and honestly, I don't think Dulcich would get his job back if this kid starts, and that's Lucas Cole. What do you think about him?
I agree. You should hear what Sean Payton, the way he was speaking about him. He's like, everybody is going to be talking about this guy. Yep. And if Sean Payton is saying, I do believe him. Dulcich, it's just another sad situation, just like Tim Patrick. He's always getting injured and all this stuff. But if what we're hearing is true, I would not be surprised. Troutman might be tight end 2. He might be number 1.
Well, I heard I heard somebody the other day compare Greg Dulcich to Jake Butt from a few years back. High prospect, he had the potential. He just couldn't get over the injury bug, and that was just what he was labeled as, an injured player. And Dulcich, sadly, I had high hopes for the guy. He's kind of going down that same road. He's, being labeled as he is. Can he fight? Can he, wear off the injury bug? Is he an injury-prone player? And honestly, I don't think if he's not ready for the start, forget a mandatory minicamp. If he is not ready by the start of training camp, I think you have to give Dulcich the first reps. I'm not Dulcich, Kroll. You have to give him first team snaps. Get him involved in the offense. Get him acquainted with Bo Nix. Get that timing down with him because this kid is a freaking beast. And I agree. What Sean Payton said, a lot of people are going to know who 85 is here pretty soon. That to me speaks volumes. This guy is going to be on the field because based on what we saw from the minimal, game time we seen him play last year, the kid can ball. I think he can catch, he can run, he can get open. This kid is going to be sneaky freaking good. If you're playing fantasy football this year, this is a guy I would pick up in your fantasy team. I really would. Heck, I might even pick him up in my fantasy football this year because we know how Sean Payton loves his tight ends. Jimmy Graham and New Orleans. He loves, especially them short, intermediate, timing routes over the middle. He's going to use a tight end. And if Kroll's that guy, man, I hope Dulcich does make it through because it'd be nice to have 2 good tight ends, Dulcich and Kroll. But I'm telling you, man, look out. This Kroll kid, if he gets his chance, I don't think he's going to mess it up. He's going to ball. What do you think?
Absolutely, and he's not giving the job back to Dulcich.
No,
It's gonna
he's
be,
not.
like I said, it's just the way how Sean Payton is speaking about the guy. Like I said, hey, I do believe him. Let's go. We need that. A true number one tight end. You know.
And Peyton, he doesn't dish out compliments often. That's what makes the whole Bo Nix thing and the Lucas Kroll thing really eye popping. If you're a Broncos fan or even just a general football fan, and you know how Sean Payton has done in the past, he doesn't gush. He doesn't compliment players that much. When he does, you need to watch and listen. He's already complimented Bo Nix. He's already complimented Lucas Kroll. I think these two, like together in this offense, we're going to be seeing. Bo Nix is going to ball. I'm once again, this is not me being a Broncos fan, just hoping he balls. Based on what I'm hearing from coming out of Broncos camp with Sean Payton and all them, Bo Nix is going to be the day one starter. And unless Dulcich somehow turns it around between now and the start of the season, Lucas Kroll is going to be the starter. And you're going to be seeing a lot of those two this season. And hopefully you'll be seeing a lot of, Bo Nix to Kroll for a touchdown, kind of like Tom Brady and Gronk. I shouldn't really compare those two, but you know what I mean? Like anytime, Tom Brady needed a completion for like a third and long or fourth or whatever, who'd he go to? Gronk. I hope that's the kind of connection Bo Nix and Lucas Kroll have. Third and 10, where's Bo Nix going to go? Boom, hits Lucas Kroll over the middle for a big gain and a first down. But man, it's just whenever you hear Sean Payton kind of do these kind of things, like speak highly of a player, you need to listen and watch because there's a reason for that because he doesn't do it often.
Exactly, it's not random.
No, it's not. Sean Payton doesn't dish out compliments unless he actually means it. And like I said, honestly, if Kroll keeps playing like he is and Dulcich doesn't come back, by training camp, you're probably going to see almost the same excitement. Well, kind of the same excitement. You're going to see the same Sean Payton that's talking about Bo Nix now. He's giddy. He's excited. He wants to say something, but he's holding it back. He's like, I don't want to tell people how I really feel, even though it's literally obvious. Anytime he talks about Bo Nix, you could just see the excitement in his face. And like you said, he's relaxed. He's not mad. He's like, I got my guy. I'm building this team my way. Like, if you can look at people and just see slight differences in their mood, the way they're acting, like you could tell Sean Payton just like he's like a fat kid that sees a giant cake. He's like he's ready to go after it, but he's like, I gotta wait. Maybe I better not. So, but man, Lucas Kroll, dude, like I'm excited to see this kid this year. Like I think he's gonna be a stud tight end. And honestly, I do feel bad for Dulcich, but if this Kroll kid's better and he can get us more yards, he can get a better chemistry and stay healthy, most of all, I like him to be on the field. What say you?
Absolutely, man. I agree with you. I mean, if he's the best option we have, we should go with him. And like I said, I do feel bad for Dulcich too. But hey, same thing with the running backs. If Estime is better than Javante, whoever can help us, right?
Yep.
That's how I'm looking at it. It's but Eddie, like I wanted to mention something. The whole thing with the media, the narrative just kind of changed. I don't know if you noticed, like when we picked Bo Nix, the Broncos reached. They should have picked him at 12. They should have waited until the second round. They were saying that's not the top quarterback that Sean Payton wanted. He just picked whoever was available. And now all of a sudden, no, he's good. He went to the best situation and all this. And I'm like, wow, okay. And that tells you like they're switching up.
I think the reason for that is because before the draft, I mean, Sean Payton, every quarterback in the draft was, linked to us, like JJ, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, even, Drake May, Jake Daniels, even Caleb Williams, who we know no one else is going to get besides the Bears. Like every quarterback was, with us. What I think has happened, Mohamed, with the national media, with that whole situation where they're going from, the Broncos reached for Bo Nix at 12 to, oh yeah, he went to the perfect situation. He's doing great. All this and that. I think what it is they see what we see in Sean Payton, like you said, the comfortability. Like he doesn't look as stressed out as he did last year. You know, you could see that he's excited. He wants to say it, but he can't. I think the national media sees that and they're like, oh, wow, maybe Peyton was right. Maybe there is something, and the little clips that we get here and there, Bo Nix, like I mean, granted, once again, it's just practice. But for God's sake, like I was watching another video the other day of the Vikings and the Patriots. Drake May, they're like, no, he needs time. Like he's missing open receivers. He doesn't have timing, all this, that, and the other. The same thing with JJ. Oh, he's missing receivers. He's not doing. I mean, I'm not saying those guys are going to be bad and they wouldn't be week one starters, but they need to work on timing. But it's just Bo Nix is leaps ahead of them because he's older. He's played more games. Like, national media is talking, I wouldn't say bad, but they're kind of like hesitant, like, oh, maybe the Vikings shouldn't start JJ, or maybe the Patriots shouldn't start Drake May, but they're flipping. Like before the draft, they're like, oh, no, these are day one starters, JJ McCarthy, Drake May. They're going to start, week one for whoever they go to. Now it's kind of flipped on them too, just like with the Bo Nix thing. I think people are starting to realize Bo Nix was the most pro-ready quarterback, and he did go to the right system. Like, you can talk about Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Caleb Williams. Who was the other one? Michael Penix. Like, honestly, to me, I said this before the draft. I said it after the draft. Like, whoever goes to the Vikings and Broncos are going to have – whichever quarterback goes to those two teams is going to have the best situation, because one thing and one thing only. The Vikings and Broncos both had offensive-minded head coaches. All those other teams that quarterbacks went to – they all have defensive-minded head coaches, and they're not good at developing quarterbacks unless they nail the offensive coordinator, which a lot of the times doesn't happen. So I believe Bo Nix and JJ both went to the best situations for them. But you can take that from that small sample size. JJ is looking like he needs time to really develop. They were talking about Sam Darnold starting for the Vikings this year because they don't think JJ is going to be ready. You don't hear that from Broncos camp now. You hear, oh, Bo Nix is going to be the starter week one. He's looking good. He's looking sharp. So, but before we get out of here, Mohamed, I wanted to ask you one more thing. This wasn't really on the agenda, but I kind of went through it today myself. I just wanted to see what your thoughts were. I went down the entire roster and I was like, okay, these are going to be the starters come week one. Like, I mean, you don't have to name all of them, but name the top positions like receiver, quarterback, pass rusher, and corner. Who do you think the starters are going to be for those positions?
For quarterback, obviously, I think it's going to be Bo Nix. It should be Bo Nix. Wide receiver, Sutton, if he comes back. If not, maybe Franklin, Troy Franklin, maybe. Tight end,
Lucas Kroll.
Yeah, Kroll's. Running back, Estimate or Williams. Can't really tell. Pass rush, Ellis might sneak up in there, him and Browning, right? I mean,
yeah, that's who I think it's happening.
I mean, the linebackers were, like for the inside.
Yeah.
Outside, we already spoke about that. What else we got?
Corners.
I guess the line. I guess the only question would be the center.
Yeah.
Not sure about that one.
I think it's gonna be Forsyth.
Yeah, me too. I mean, with
because that chemistry with Bo Nix, there's no reason why, unless he's like just downright terrible. Like that chemistry with Bo Nix, I think would be perfect for him as a rookie. So, but if I had to guess, like you said, I'd say Bo Nix is going to be the starter week one. I think the starting running back will probably be Javonte unless Estimate comes through training camp and preseason and just balls the heck out. And there's just no way you can't name him the starter. Sutton, I believe it's going to, or the receivers, I believe it's going to be Sutton and Reynolds. And honestly, I think it's going to be Marvin Mims to start the year. Same with Josh Reynolds, but by midway through the season, I think Troy Franklin's going to take that from Reynolds. And it'll be Sutton, Mims, and Franklin. Kroll, he's going to be the starting tight end, of course. Pass rush, I agree with you. It's going to be Baron Browning and Jonah Ellis. And at corner, it's going to be, of course, Patrick Surtain. Everybody knows that. I believe the second string, the opposite of Patrick Surtain, the other outside corner, a lot of people are talking about Levi Wallace. I don't think it's going to be him. I think it's going to be Drain. I really
Okay.
do. I think that he's going to do well in training camp and preseason, and he's fast. So
Mhm.
I believe that he's going to be put out there, week one. And then, of course, in the slot, you got McMillan. That's who I think is going to be like Riley Moss. I want to say, yeah, but it's like they didn't even give him a chance to play last year. I mean, he had a few snaps on defense, but it was like, I don't know. Maybe Peyton didn't see something in him. Maybe he's just like, nah, I don't think he's the guy. So like, if you thought Riley Moss was the guy, I mean, you went out and signed Levi Wallace. You got Riley Moss. You still got Damari Mathis, Jaquan McMillan, Patrick Surtain. You got these guys. Why would you go out and draft a corner if
Exactly.
you if you're going to give Riley Moss that opportunity? Like, I just don't see it. So, but that's my take. So, but anyway, Mohammed, we've been going for 56 minutes. We got through a lot of good stuff today. Talked about OTAs, the quarterback competition, Sutton, Lucas Kroll. Anything else you want to add tonight before we get out of here?
Just think we're moving towards the right direction, and it's only going to get better. I'm very impressed with what I heard about the offense. All these battles we got going on. You just keep
Yep.
improving. Bo Nix is going to get there. So,
Yes, he will, and he's going to be a baller. And man, I'm telling you right now, as soon as I can, I'm getting my freaking Bo Nix jersey. I am not waiting. As soon as I got the money, I'm going to get it. And I'm not even going to order it. I'm just going to go straight to the dang stadium and buy it. So that way I can get it that day instead of having to wait a week. So, but anyway, guys, that's it for us tonight. This has been Eddie and Mohamed with Colorado Sports Connection. It's been great having you guys. Thanks for everybody for listening
thank you.
tonight. And we will see you guys next Sunday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Mohammed, I will see you next week, bud.
See you, man. Peace out.
Peace.